Hello, welcome back to my channel. As you may have noticed, I've been gone recently. I've had both my own personal mental health struggles going on in the background. I've entered therapy, been doing a lot of it for the last 6 months or so. And honestly, with how things have been going with trans rights and all this anti-trans legislation the past few months across different states, it's been hard for me. So I took all of the time that I needed, and I have returned for a video talking about the naturalistic fallacy. The naturalist fallacy basically is something that says whatever is natural is good, or naturally occurring, as in nature, is good, and synthetic things or things that we create are not natural and therefore are not good. Now you might be asking yourself, how exactly does the naturalist fallacy tie into trans issues? Well, it's pretty simple. A lot of times transphobes will say that, well, you were born male or you were born female and therefore you ought to stay that way because it is not natural to take hormones to change your gender in whichever way that you want to. Of course, the problem there is that the same hormones that you would take during HRT is the exact same type of hormones the body produces anyway. On top of that, there's different layers to this. The next problem with this is that it insinuates anything that occurs in nature is good and anything that is synthetic is not good. We know that's not true because cancer occurs in nature. Also, poisonous plants occur out in nature. Bifocals, glasses and corrective lenses is not something that occurs in nature that's synthetic and it benefits us. Houses are synthetic. Clothing is synthetic. Technology is all synthetic. In order to make the claim that if it's natural, it's good, and if it is synthetic, it's bad, is clearly just artificially created. It's bad thinking. Don't do it. We should all move away from that type of thinking. As far as homosexuality and sexuality, they'll say that, well, to God, being heterosexual is natural, and anything that is not heterosexual is unnatural and therefore bad. The problem with this, ultimately, is that all human behavior, including our social constructs, including our concepts of gender, sexuality, identity, all occur within nature, and everything that occurs within the cosmos is natural. It's naturally occurring. So in order for somebody to make the claim and to be correct that transgender people are unnatural, they would first have to give a coherent definition of unnatural, because a lot of times when people say this, they mean it in some type of moralistic way, which we're not even going to get into the moralistic fallacy today. But the naturalist fallacy is something that I see all the time from religious people who want to claim that God's plan or the things that God does is all natural and therefore good, and the things that mankind does or mankind's pursuits are unnatural. Like homosexual desires are unnatural, changing your gender is unnatural. And the thing is, there is no foundation to make this claim. It is fallacious thinking, and people should stop saying it. And don't cede that ground to them. When they tell you that being gay is unnatural, or they tell you that changing your gender is unnatural, ask them in what way specifically. Because all the time, when we have people that might be born with certain medical conditions, or we have people that might get injured or disabled in some type of way, we make technology to help them compensate for that, including wheelchairs or artificial limbs. And as technology continues to advance, one day we'll be able to make very functional replacement limbs for people. There's also, when we have type 1 diabetics, we have insulin pumps that can deliver insulin to their body because their pancreas does not work correctly. I wouldn't say that just because a insulin pump is doing something like an artificial pancreas, or that a pacemaker is working almost like it's not an artificial heart, but it works similar to it, electroshocks to the heart to keep it pumping in rhythm. Just because those things are made with technology and they're synthetically made, that does not automatically make them bad by default. Anytime that somebody's trying to add a normative claim, so a claim of morality, onto something that is just is, so out in nature, like your body or technology or whatever else, and they want to say this is bad or it's good, they need to first define what they're talking about and then explain it's bad or it's negative or good. In what way? How is it affecting or impacting human beings? This is a much shorter video. I didn't think that I would have to cover this, but as far as I've ran into so many people on Discord and across social media platforms recently, especially TikTok, repeating the naturalist fallacy over and over, that I just wanted to point this out. It's the same thing when people use like scientific racism and they want to use evolution to push moral claims. We'll get to that in another video. But for now, just be aware of what the naturalist fallacy is, how it's being abused specifically against trans people and LGBT people, why it is illogical and irrational, and don't let people make these claims about you and your community. I'll see you in the next video.